My name is Ruth Lobo Shaw. Welcome to our presentation, Abortion, How We Will End the Killing in Our Lifetime.
And I was volunteering with a graphic display called the Genocide Awareness Project. And I had a long conversation with a young girl who didn't think that the unborn was human, but after we talked about the science, she agreed that yes, they are human beings. However, she still felt that they were not persons. So what I told her was that throughout history, any time that anyone has separated any group and said that they are not persons, even though they're humans, great injustices have happened. And I pointed behind me at the photos of the genocide in Rwanda and at the genocide at Wounded Knee and the Holocaust. And she looked at those images for several minutes. Then she looked back at me and she said, "I will never again separate personhood from being a human being."
Just yesterday in Canada Day, I was standing right in front of Parliament Hill doing choice chain, and I was holding a sign of a 10-week-old aborted fetus. And 4 young people came up to me, and they all said that they had been pro-choice, but they were absolutely shocked to see my picture. They were shocked to see how developed it was, and as we continue to talk about abortion and all the different circumstances that can surround unplanned pregnancy, they were just completely shocked that Canadians could be killing innocent preborn children. And one of the young men said to me, after I told him about how many Canadians had abortions every year, he said to me, "It's because they haven't seen these pictures." And then when I was encouraging him to get involved, he said he'd check out our website, and I said, "Don't forget to check out the website to learn how you can get involved." And he said, "I won't forget. You can't."
I spoke at a church a few years ago when a 10-year-old girl who was walking by accidentally saw the graphic images that we were showing as part of the presentation. She raised her hand, she said to me, "Jojo, how can this happen? I want to be Prime Minister one day, so I can put an end to this."
Hi, my name is Mike Shooten. I'm 36 years old and I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm also the campaign director for WeNeedALaw.ca, those small cards you see on your chairs. I was with this great group of young women and men when they launched this cross-country tour in Vancouver, and I'm very thankful to have joined them for the last week. The mission of WeNeedALaw.ca is to build a groundswell of support for federal abortion legislation. Right now in Canada, the majority of us desire to see restrictions placed on abortion. And it's our hope that the pro-life movement can unite in having that strong public opinion, which is getting much stronger thanks to the great work of CCBR, to have that reflected in public policy, in law. Because we truly believe that step by step, legislative initiative after legislative initiative, we will end the killing in Canada. But we can't do it without your help, and so I'd like to invite you to check out our website, WeNeedALaw.ca, and use the tools there to convey that message to the men and women in the House of Commons, the men and women who have the duty and calling to protect all Canadians, no matter their location. Thank you.
Because throughout history, whenever great injustices existed, youth movements have risen up to combat and end those injustices. William Wilberforce was only 28 years old when he decided to take on the slave trade in Great Britain. Lewis Hine was 32 years old when he joined forces with the National Child Labor Committee to take on the practices of child labor. And university students, black and white alike, were the lifeblood of the civil rights movement, fighting to end segregation and the laws of Jim Crow. And today in Canada, it's time for a new youth movement to combat Canada's abortion status quo that puts us in the same camp as China and North Korea. I think you got a picture just a moment ago of what the End the Killing youth movement looks like and how we're going to change Canada when you saw a group of young people, each of which have many testimonies of minds that they have changed themselves. Using a simple set of arguments, they have shifted the worldviews of their peers on the streets, taking it to the culture, explaining to them why abortion kills a preborn child.
In a matter of 1 to 2 decades, great social movements managed to rise up and not merely fight the injustices in their midst, but end the injustices in their midst. 18 years is what we at the Canadian Centre for Bioethical Reform have set as the deadline for the pro-life movement to end the killing of preborn children. I am convinced that in 18 years' time, some of us will be sitting with our children, and others will be sitting with our grandchildren, and we will say, "I remember the day when the new abortion caravan came through Ottawa. I was at the presentation where all those protesters didn't want to let us in to hear the vision of how we can end the killing and how we have ended the killing. I am convinced, as is the incredible team of young people you've heard this evening, we are convinced that indeed this is the beginning of the end of abortion in Canada. Warren Bennis once said, "Vision is a compelling sense of what might be." He said, "Vision is a target that beckons one towards action." And it is a vision for an abortion-free Canada, which has beckoned us to take this action of the new abortion caravan and the many other campaigns we will be doing over the next 2 decades. But right now, an abortion-free Canada is just a vision. It's not reality, because currently we're living in a nightmare, where, as Jonathan pointed out, abortion happens through all 9 months of pregnancy for any reason or no reason. How did we get here? Well, we got here because of another social reform movement. A social reform movement that incidentally managed to transform its culture, also in its lifetime, in 18 years. And that social reform movement was led by a group of individuals who identified themselves as furious women. And these furious women, in 1970, gathered on the steps of the Vancouver Art Gallery, then the Vancouver Courthouse, to launch a cross-country tour called the Abortion Caravan. And these furious women had 2 goals in mind: repeal the abortion laws and free abortion on demand. Repeal the abortion laws and free abortion on demand. And 18 years later, these women got what they wanted when in 1988, the Supreme Court of Canada threw out our 1969 abortion law, essentially leaving it open season on preborn children, because our elected politicians have yet to come forward with legal protections for preborn children. These women managed to achieve what they wanted in their lifetime because they took a lesson from the history books. And that lesson was that if you wish to change the culture, you must engage the culture. If you wish to change the culture, you must engage the culture. And so engage they did, beginning with that caravan, where they stood on the steps of the Vancouver Art Gallery and began their cross-country tour to Ottawa. And in every city they went to, in every town they went to, the women would do presentations. As we're doing presentations tonight, they were furious women. And they got what they wanted. But 42 years later, looking back, we have to ask ourselves, what has been the result of the old abortion caravan? The wombs of Canadian women have been turned into Canada's killing fields. A country which prides itself on peacekeeping has declared war in the womb, where 1 in 4 pregnancies end in abortion. And that is why we at CCBR have said it is time for a new abortion caravan. It is time to take this sacred cow of Canada's abortion rights movement and redeem it. Use the tool which was used to bring about great injustice, and use it as a catalyst to bring about great justice. The abortion advocates recognize there's power when you engage a culture. There's influence when you use vivid and compelling messaging. And we're taking those approaches of engaging the culture and using vivid and compelling messaging to influence the culture, to create a just society, not an unjust one. And so, on the 29th of May, just over 30 days ago, we stood on the very steps that the women of the old caravan had stood. And we declared the start of the new abortion caravan. We have gone from town to town, city to city, doing presentations, as well as confronting the culture with vivid and compelling messaging. We are opening the casket on abortion. We are bringing into light what has been in darkness. So we have the beautiful images of preborn children to rightly attract people to them. And correspondingly, we show the ugly images of abortion to rightly repel people from the act 100,000 women are attracted to every year. We are making the point that we recognize not only does abortion kill children, but it wounds women. This is a picture of my colleague Nicole Cooley. She got pregnant after being raped. She had an abortion. And today she says that the abortion was like being raped again. In fact, she goes so far as to say that she has had a more difficult time healing from the abortion than she ever did healing from the rape. Why, she says? Because I chose the abortion. We will look at images of children starving in other parts of the world. And we will be moved with compassion towards the plight of these children, so much so that we may sacrifice financially to share our wealth with those who are less fortunate. And yet in our own backyard there are children who are in danger, who need our help. Yet we're not sharing our wealth to help these children, but rather to kill these children. What's the difference? Well, one child is made visible to us through commercials and magazines and newsletters. But another child is kept invisible. And so what we're doing with this campaign is making Canada's invisible children visible. So we've explained a lot about how to basically fight against or provide an argument in contrast to the pro-abortion mindset. What do we do within the pro-life movement when we face opposition from pro-lifers who don't necessarily like our strategy? Well, one of the things I think that's very important is that we always have good reasons for why we do what we do. And within the pro-life movement, it's very important that there be one main guiding principle for the actions that we take, and that must be effectiveness. We do what we do not because it's my idea and I want to do it, not because we did it last year so we should do it again, but because it's tried, tested, and true, that we know that it's effective in changing minds and saving lives. So whenever we face resistance from pro-lifers who don't like our strategy, we need to orient ourselves into that direction, say, okay, well, would you agree, first of all, that effectiveness is our goal? Do you know of something that has more evidence of changed minds or saved lives? And then the second thing we would do is provide an apologetic or a defense of the merits of the strategy itself. Because you cannot do wrong to bring about a good. So some people are questioning, well, is what you're doing wrong or unethical? So then we've created a whole classroom on our website answering questions that are often proposed by pro-lifers, such as, what about children or post-abortive women seeing the images? Or does this in some way disrespect the dead? And we've provided a solid apologetic or defense of our approach responding to each one of these. So go to endthekilling.ca and that will equip you.
My name is Julie. I'm 24. Here at UNF and the nursing program. I remember when y'all came here 3 years ago, you were out on the green instead, which was like the metropolis, the heart of the campus back then. But I walked by and saw these pictures and thought, you know, I was pro-choice at that time, so it made me really angry. I was one of the heavy debaters. I thought, oh, if your argument must be so weak that you have to use, these pictures, and I thought it was disgusting. But it followed me home, and it followed me for several days, and I went online and looked up a video of an entire abortion, and I cried until I couldn't breathe. And I changed. I changed at that moment from pro-choice to pro-life. And I know that it was because I saw these pictures. And I think what people do, why people get so upset, is because when you see a baby in pieces like that, you can't help but feel some kind of bad feeling. You feel angry or sad or disgusted or scared or guilty, but you can't escape the truth. And these pictures show the truth. There's nothing you can argue with that. So I totally support what you guys are doing. It changed my life, changed the way I think.